say mistake is the first step to, achieve something. I mean, we are building the future of India. If you can't change something, you have to reach the chair and change it. Otherwise, don't keep on talking about it.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Great Principles. I am Seema Choria. Our illustrious guest today is a young academician from a family of scholars and has had the proximity to watch and learn from some great educators as a child. She is one of the youngest school principals in the country, and her educational initiation began under her father's tutelage. He was a dean at a university, and his colleagues were accomplished intellectuals who would frequently visit his house. The young daughter had access to this knowledge bank. She learned quite early that teaching is a noble profession only if one is equipped with humility. Today, she holds a major educational and professional degree and a doctorate in education. Her career maps over 14 years, of which 9 years was her role as a principal. Today, I'm very pleased to sit with and hear some words of wisdom from our eminent guest, Dr. Sonal Patil, Zonal Head and Principal, Rahul International School, Hinjewadi, Pune. Welcome to Great Principles, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
All right. So this is Sonal ma'am here, and we are extremely thrilled to have a conversation with her. So before, ma'am, as I said that you walked into the steps of your father. So as a child also, there has been a lot of academic sparks all over you. So please tell us few episodes that nurtured you as a future teacher.
When I would say that one or two experiences which I would really like to share with the youngsters, because nowadays we all have seen the young principals. The train has been, that the train where the principals were seen above 50, and that is one. I mean, we can see that it's closing down now. So when I say about myself, that how did I start, or what were my experiences, I would like to mention one thing over here. Like when I passed out my 10th standard, I still remember my father being a dean and member of management council in one of the university. He did one of the best thing that he could do to me is like in my 10th standard vacation, he took me to his colleges, his university. And there was one ma'am named as Shaha ma'am, who was a vice chancellor. And my father, he went and he introduced me. She's my daughter, but remember, she's a helping hand for you. And you have to treat her like a clerk, and she's going to do all your work. So I still remember sitting outside the vice chancellor's room, and she used to call me. She used to instruct me to do the things, small things. Write down this, or maybe these are the things which you can copy down, or maybe if some guests have come to meet her, how does she talk to those guests? How is she going to approach them? What are the things that she's taking in her decisions? What is she considering in her decisions? Because there are pressures from n number of people. So how is she doing? So this was one of the experience that my father gave me an exposure to, that you have to go and sit next to the vice chancellor. And one day I never thought so, but I'm sure that my father nurtured me in that way, that okay, you have to be one day somewhere a vice chancellor. Maybe he was looking forward to, we all talk about skill development, but I think for me, it started right from the small age, that my father started giving me those skills. Like, okay, my father is a teacher, so my daughter should be teacher, but it has to be nurtured in a very positive way. Or like, you cannot force a child to just go and हाँ तुम्हें teacher बनना ही है, no. But this way there are like, he gave me an exposure to this. The other thing, like as a teacher, he asked me to go, I mean, when I passed out my 12th standard, he asked me to go in one of the pre-primary school. He came with me and he asked the owner, I mean, whoever the principal was, we don't expect any salary, but I want her to go and teach in that particular school. So that principal said, I cannot take her. She's just 12. I still remember Godbole ma'am was there, and she is like, I cannot take her. She is just passed out 12th standard. How can I hand over my kid kids to her. So my father said, do one thing, ma'am, you have a mother teacher, you can keep her as a helping hand, just a helping hand. She will take the kids for potty. I mean, I did n number of things there, and now I know what has to be done, what has, even though if I'm a leader, I should know what has to be, then only I can instruct, or maybe I can delegate whatever things have to be done. So these are the small experience which I've really enjoyed, and I'm thankful for all the people who have really given me this exposure to get those experiences. Yes.
Absolutely, ma'am. Your father did the right thing, because, when you experience each and every bit of your work, and then you become a leader, it's, then you are able to add more insight, more value, and make it better. You can, think on the important tools where processes can be made seamless. So that is how, and yes, there is no other better measure than learning through experiences, making mistakes, and taking risks.
Absolutely right. Yes. I would say mistake is the first step to achieve something. That's a sign that you are struggling. You are doing not struggling, but then you are trying to achieve something, right? So everyone has to do mistakes, I feel. Then and then only we are going to learn. Otherwise, there is no scope to learn. If everything goes right, then what's the what have you achieved? It is already served, and it is everything ready-made. Then you have nothing to achieve in your life, right? So yes, mistakes are the first step to success, I would say.
Absolutely.
As they say, thinking is the first step, I would say. Where if you want to be a leader, then absolutely you have to make mistakes. Then only you are going to learn something.
Yeah, and the leader also have always need to share the part of the blame. It's not always about the credits, because if something goes wrong, then you are the one who is pointed on. That, see, you are responsible.
Absolutely. Yes, I would like to tell you something here, ma'am. Like for example, like APJ Abdul Kalam. I still remember one story reading for him in 1976. He launched one rocket over there, and unfortunately it failed. He and his team, they said to the media, like I remember his boss took him for an interview, that why did the launch fail down. So the leader said, I will be the one who will be facing the press conference. But next year, when the same rocket, same thing was launched, that particular time, the leader came and he said to APJ Abdul Kalam, Mr. Kalam, that it's now you are going to face. So when the team has achieved everything, the leader is behind. It has to be behind. So whatever blame was needed to be taken first, the leader took it. So I think that's a great example. We all should learn from that yes, if you want to be a good leader, there is no harm taking the blame. That simply means that you have tried something instead of sitting, right? So I think yes, this has to be like this, that the leader has to be behind when you achieve everything. Yes, but if till the time you don't achieve, the leader has to lead everything. So I would see that on this.
Yeah, and that is why this position is really very difficult. It's not as easy as it looks. Sitting on a principal's chair, it's challenging, rewarding, and yes, risky also, because you're dealing with so many precious lives.
Yes, right. This youth is, school is one. Sorry to use this word, but then a school is a factory where we are creating the students. We are taking. We are building the future of India. So this has to be taken care in a proper way, and they have to be built in a proper. They have to be guided in a proper way. Otherwise, the students are. This is a Google world. So thinking has been stopped. If you want to, unfortunately, the thinking has stopped. And in this Google world, people have, like, you don't need to think. If you have anything, Google karo. I heard my 10th standard saying, "Jiska koi nahi, uska Google hai, ma'am." So, being a principal, I was somewhere, being a young principal, I was happy to listen this, right? That jiska koi nahi hai, ma'am, uska Google hai. This sounds, I don't know whether to take it positively, negatively, because teachers are also there. But we teachers, I would say one thing here, ma'am, that students are ready to take. Are we teachers ready to give? Are we in a position to give them, like, whatever they're expecting? right now I think we are in between. Like we are not delivering them completely the way they have to be, because I'll tell you, because this digital things, technology has changed everything, and we teachers were, to be honest, we were not prepared till now. Now we have started preparing for this digital world. So yes, we need to I would again highlight this, that students are ready. Are we teachers ready to give it? We all have to answer that.
The role of teachers has been shifted from being a mere knowledge keeper to a mentor these days. You know what I think,
Yeah.
the students rightly say that yes, for everything Google is there, but they fail to understand that
Yes.
Google gives you thousands of options. How do you choose which is right for
Absolutely.
you? So that is where the teacher steps in. But to help
Absolutely
you
right.
process that
Yes.
information, you require the skill set, and that skill set teacher mentors and give you. So
Absolutely.
yes, digitization is the era, and we all need to accept that. So talking about schools, ma'am, and how the institute functions and the responsibilities, I would like to ask you here: how do people react to your young age and the gender in this leading position of a school principal? You know, because we are used to see generally principal with gray hair and some senior person sitting out there.
Right. When we talk about gender, I find now that world is changing. Earlier, women, there was a time where women, they had to struggle for their position. But now even men has learned this, or maybe they knew it and they have started giving us the equal position. I see all the respect over there. There is no such discrimination I have seen, and nor do I face it. For example, I'll just tell you small example here. I was working in XYZ school for, 4 5 years back. And earlier I would face that particular problem that, okay, she's young. Maybe she doesn't have that particular knowledge, or maybe she doesn't know. But I think that particular thing changed with time. If you are a leader and if you know what has to be done, even if you are going to get it done from someone, if you know it, then you have achieved it. That simply means confidence. So yes, these are the things which I always see to it, that whatever I have to get it done, I should know that, and that's indirectly I would label it as confidence. So yes, if you have a confidence, the age bar will not matter over there. And being humans, I think there are teachers who are working with me, who in this organization, where they have worked for 15 years. All of a sudden कि ये principle कहाँ से आ गई? It might be a question, but when your approach also matters a lot. Being a young principal, you need to respect those elder teachers over there. You need to tell them that you have to come up with the technology, ma'am. I understand your experience is too much. I in very big over here, your experience matters. I also will get to learn something from you, but you need to learn technology from me, maybe. Or maybe you need to learn Google, how to there may be teachers who don't know how to use Google initially. So these all things need to be explained to teachers, and then you don't have those difficulties of that age bar what you're talking about. I would also say this, like for example, I had one teacher over there, male teacher, and he's like, "Ma'am, वो female teacher है ना, ऐसा हो गया." They said like that. So I said, so what? If she is a female, it's not that she's not capable of doing something, or she's not only thing. In fact, I personally feel females are so blessed. मराठी में एक कहावत है, चूल और मूल कभी लड़की को छूटेगा नहीं. I mean to say that when a woman, a girl, a lady, whenever she is working, she is not going to get out of her family life. उनके ऊपर जो responsibilities है वो हमेशा रहने वाली है. And in fact, I think people are talking about feminism, but feminism starts within you, within yourself. Feminism is not about just men is doing something, so I should do it. No, I feel it, I will do it. I feel it has to be equal. I feel I should be a principal. If a man can be a principal, why not a woman can be a principal? If a man can be a CEO of a company, why a woman cannot be? So this has to be from inside. I can do this, and I have to do this. It's not about just because he can do it, I will also do it. So this kind of things really matter a lot when we are working. So age bar and gender equality, I would label it as men has also learned now that Are Baba, she will do file a case against us. Let us be very lenient and respectful. Maybe initial stage they say this, but I can see this change that people are coming with that particular respect with and your work speaks. If you work and if you do everything at the right time, I don't think so people will disrespect you. In fact, they will start copying you. I don't know what I mean. Instead of copying, we could see that they get motivated and they try to do the things what you are doing over there. So yes, youth, this all things just get vanish when one thing comes is confidence, and you know what has to be done, what has to be what you want to achieve in your life. It is all the output of that.
Absolutely, ma'am. And now, in every sphere, we are seeing amazing women in leadership, breaking the stereotypes, doing beyond what is expected, and leading the men. There are organizations where the ratio of men is more, and the leadership role, females are more. And
yes, I would like to mention here, ma'am, I was working with D.Y. Patil in my previous organization. I was working with D.Y. Patil, and I went to management and I spoke to the management and I told them that I want this campus to be only female campus. I mean, and it gives me an immense pleasure. It makes me feel proud that yes, I was running that particular school with only female campus, because it's a need. It was a need 5 years back. Now I find females everywhere, right? So it was need, that the reason we made it of only female campus. But now I see that females are getting those equal rights over there, or positions over there to work with the male.
Absolutely, ma'am. And when women are in the leadership role, they also bring into the emotions, which actually change the entire feel of the organization. Coupled with their emotional front, the women in leadership do miracles.
Absolutely right, ma'am. I have heard now the schools are taking over. They are turning into corporate schools. I can say our traditional ways, it's vanishing. But I feel it's not necessary to inculcate all the corporate laws or maybe the working style. The mother touch, which is necessary for the kids, that doesn't need to get vanished. Right? You need to put yourself in someone else's shoes, and then only you'll understand what are the feelings that the person is facing. So I need to come to that level to my students, my staff members, any of the employee, or my seniors also, for that matter. They might take some decision which is against me, but that helps me to learn, that grows me. So we have to accept all those things with those emotions. People say that when you're working, you need to keep your emotions aside. I definitely don't agree on this, because we are humans. We cannot keep those emotions, feelings aside and then work. And apart from that, we are teachers. We are the second home for the kids. We cannot leave all the feelings aside and just start teaching to the kids and take it forward. No, it's just impossible. If you ask me personally, feelings are the most important thing for a principal to have when she is leading a school, because there are n number of people who are connected to her, including employees, including students, parents, society, whatever she is interacting, to whomsoever she's interacting. So yes, feelings are most important thing which a leader should have. It cannot be always professional. It cannot be always just for delegating the work. I remember one of the incidents which I read in APJ Kalam, Mr. Kalam's book is, he had a small example there. He was working with one of the employees, and it was 6 o'clock, and he says that, sir, I need to go home early, please can you leave me? And there was a launch next day or something like that. So what does APJ Abdul Kalam, what does he do is he says, I'm so sorry, I cannot leave you. But the next moment, what he does is, his keys and his driver, he sends to that particular employee's house, and he says that, okay, this kid and the mother, kid and the wife wanted to go for a shopping, and that's the reason my employer wanted to go at 6 o'clock, and no other source. Those times Uber and all that, I don't think so that existed over there. So he gives that keys. That you need a very big heart to do such things. I don't say we would do all those. I don't know whether I'll be able to reach to that, but we can try to be good humans, right? Respecting others, that's more important. So this example gives, whatever example I gave you that I read in the book, is like the happiness that my employee gets next day. He will feel so happy in the morning at 9 o'clock to log in. Instead of 9 o'clock, he'll come at 8:55 only, and he'll come and tell the head that, sir, you had sent the car. My wife is happy that she could go for the shopping, and I was still working for you. So these are the things which you really need to take care of in this world, which is become all techno savvy and lost the connection with the humans.
People are the real assets, and yes, there is nothing which can go beyond the teamwork. So going ahead, ma'am, we were just talking about how the education phase has changed and how important is digital literacy today. So here, ma'am, how do we help our teachers to be equipped with it? And what did you take, that how can we make our teachers digital literate, though they have done commendable work when it comes to COVID online educations, but still, what would be your, cause going forward? How would you educate them in terms of digital literacy?
I think training plays a very important role. And when I say training, it doesn't mean the principal sending a notice that tomorrow will be a training at 4 o'clock. You need to be a good leader. I think we need to give them an agenda before we go for the meeting. They should know what is it, so that they come well prepared with the mind. The mindset is also different to sit over there for the training, and the willingness is also already created in them that, okay, I need to have this training because I am lacking. Unknowingly, the psychologically they have to be motivated that, okay, I don't know how to operate MS Word, and this is the training, for example, for MS Word. So they already get that feeling that, okay, this has to be trained, and that's the reason ma'am has arranged for this trainings. And then only they will have that patience to learn and willingness to learn. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. Being a leader, it is always going to be, okay, ma'am, tomorrow we have a training. Teachers, we have a training. No matter how much I train them, it's not going to work out. They are still going to ask the IT person how to do this, how to do this. But once you have given them in a proper way, if you serve them in a proper way, the output would be definitely in a different this thing. So training in a right way is very important.
Absolutely. Continuous learning is essential for each one of us, whether it's a leader or the subordinates. We all need to be continuously improving our skills and honing them. Going ahead, ma'am, teaching is generally, when we go to school, all the teachers are generally females, majority. So here I would like to ask you, what would be your answer to the young aspirants males on teaching as a career, and what it takes to be a good teacher and a good school leader?
I think I would suggest the young men. When you're talking about males over there, that of course it's a noble profession. We all know that. We all know that you enjoy teaching, but unless and until they really don't want to get into this themselves, I'm talking about themselves. Forget about society. Forget about what the trends are. Forget about what unsaid rules are. That females are the teacher. Females are the teacher. But for the young men, I would always suggest that you have a caliber over there, and you have a plus point that you are energetic. If you compare it has been proved, like if you compare the level of men and if you compare the level of women for energy, maybe they have the same energy level at morning 9 o'clock, but when it reaches to 12 o'clock, a man would be on a higher side and a female would be on the lower side. There may be some reasons, physical reasons, mental reasons, hormonal changes, many other things. But yes, this is a plus point where men can take forward, because when it comes when a teacher is interacting in the morning with the kids, afternoon 4 o'clock also, kids are that energetic, but the teacher is not. So this is the plus point where male can start, utilizing this in a proper way and come into this profession. Because this all things, when they're taking it forward, they are also going to enjoy, right? So I mean, earlier school timings were from 9 to 12. The principal is to come nicely dressed, teachers is to come nicely dressed, and teaching is to be there on the board, and they are gone. Now it's not that, ma'am. It's all activity based learning, skillful learning. All n number of things have been done every day. So that's the reason male has lots of scope to come in this profession, because it's a noble profession, as we all say again and again. But the energy level, the positive things which a male has in him as a human, that is really going to help them to reach to a higher level, maybe as a principal, vice principal, vice chancellor, or whatever they expect. And one thing I would, not only for male but for even for male and females, both of them, I would say one thing, that you need to have one vision over there. Okay, right from my 12th standard I knew that I'm going to be a teacher, or maybe right from a small age I knew. Similarly, I think they should all decide. Otherwise it like new education policy has already come up, and they have said that for example, if a child is from an agricultural background, he would choose it from right 8th standard or 9th standard, whatever they would take it forward. So this would help them to achieve this particular thing in a proper way. So I would suggest young males over there that teaching is really a blessed profession that anyone could have. You would be in the kids, I mean, you will be all with the kids, and these kids are energy for you all. And of course, if you have energy, then you don't need anything. I would give you one small example. If you go for a picnic over there, if you enjoy, at night when you come and sleep, you get a calm sleep, no matter how much you are tense, no matter what you have thought. Similarly, every day with being with 150 kids, or whatever the class strength would be, 35 kids or 3,000, whoever, like according to their positions over there, they are going to enjoy this. And when they come at home, they are going to get a nice, good sleep over there, which will be a satisfied life, I would say. And what else we want as humans, right? So, yes, males, I would say, get up and come into the profession. We all are ready to welcome you all.
Beautifully explained here. And just few days back, we have Mr. Subrata Tagore emphasizing that how keeping, so how when he's surrounded by children, he's always young. Because howsoever you age, when you are surrounded by so many energetic kids around you, that positive vibes pass on, and it helps you from getting aged earlier also. So to all the men out there, if you want to be young forever, be surrounded by children, and the best way to do that is to take up teaching and join this noble profession.
Absolutely.
So going ahead, ma'am, you have so many achievements in your life. But which is the proudest accomplishment of yours in your career?
Of course, being a PhD holder.
Definitely.
Because being a girl, and I mean, there were a lot of challenges when I started with my PhD. First challenge was from my professors over there. Being so young, why you want to do a PhD? We took, like after our 50s, we started doing our PhD and so on. So for me, it was like, that was the first challenge when I cleared out my PET exam. After that, the challenge was society. People see you, the girl has become 24 and she has to get married in India. So this was the huge pressure which I faced during my PhD. This thing is like, pehle shadi kar lo, fir PhD karna. So these are the things which, there are n number of things that they are going to try and be a obstacle for your target. But I don't think so that really matters. If you know what you wanted, and then you have it, you need to work against, I mean, to achieve that. Otherwise it makes no sense that you are just jack of all and masters of nothing. So for me, going here and there, instead of going here and there, I had that particular vision that I want to be a PhD holder one day. And yes, I worked on that. So many challenges, and of course that is one of my best I mean, for me, I'm happy that yes, I'm a PhD holder today, after so much of all the obstacles over there.
So here to
I would label them I would not label them as obstacle anymore. Now I understand, yes, that was there. That's the reason I'm standing here.
All right. So here we have Dr. Sonal Patil. For her proudest accomplishment is breaking through whatever came in her way. She just achieved her dreams, and she fulfilled her very dream of getting a PhD degree. And that's what is her proudest accomplishment here. So this is her about her achievements. And on this note, we reach to the very interesting segment of the show. This is called rapid fire round, ma'am. You have to answer in one word only. So what
one word?
Yeah, one word. We have you have to answer in one word. So what makes you happy as a teacher?
Being a mother for 3,000 students.
Wonderful. All right. Do you feel students today have a better chance at education than they did in the past decade?
Yes, I do.
All
because,
right. Yeah.
Because in this digital world, the world has become very small. One click and they have everything in their hand. So definitely I would say that. Yes.
Who is your key influencer from the field of education? If I ask you specifically a school principal you admire the most.
Vice Chancellor named as Shaha ma'am for Acidity University.
All right. How involvement of parents in schools in career mapping of a child is essential? Is it required parents to guide their children in school for career, or they can make their own choices?
They should guide them, but it should not be a forced one. So school and parents, they both play important role. If the child is there for 8 hours with us, remaining 16 hours he's going to be with the parents over there. So it really plays an important role. Both of them have to go in hand, otherwise it's not going to work for the kids.
So guide them, don't make their choices.
Yes.
All right. So is the digital class the new class? Do you think digital is going to stay forever in our lives, in the school specifically?
If you ask me, yes, because there would be a time that books are going to, we won't be using books, physical books over there. We'll be using tabs, and in tabs, we'll be having ebooks. So the things are going to change very soon. This is what I feel, and it should change. Otherwise, change is constant, as they say. So it is necessary. So definitely, yes.
So wonderfully answered this segment, ma'am. Now going ahead, we came to know that you're very fond of bikes and long rides. So
oh my God. Okay.
Do you ride yourself also? And what do you do when you're not working? What is your favorite leisure time and how it helps you?
Yes, of course. As you mentioned, I don't know how did you find out this, but yes, I am in love with bikes. That's what I wanted to say, that feminism is not about comparing with the male. It starts within you, that you want it, and that's the reason you can do it. So yes, I do ride. I'm there in a Ducati group. So in my free time, I go for riding if possible. And yes, long drives, traveling is the best thing which I can do for myself.
All right. And so you think that, riding is something which sets you free from these barriers of male and female labels?
Yes, I do feel that, because there are sometimes, like right from I have faced it, I would say this, like when I took my bike first time in 2017, it was like, being a girl, you want to buy a Ducati. It started from my house, I would say this. And it is like, for me, yes, I want to, I earn myself, I do it for myself, I'm happy today. I want to spend my money on this because I love it. And every boy also does that, right? I feel that. So for me, it was like a big challenge taking a Ducati. Oh, you are wasting your money or what? Like, but then for me, no, I want to go for it. I just want to go for it. I have no other commitments in my life. I'm there today. Tomorrow, I don't know what's going to be next. So definitely, it's like, I have no words to express this, that how happy I was when I first time took my Ducati. And just all my society people, or around the people, is like, all around the people were like shocked, how come she wanted a Ducati. I mean, there are very less people who would support you initially when you want to go for a Ducati. So definitely that's my passion, everything. I mean, free time, I just on the button and go.
So we have a very proud Ducati rider here and very fond of bikes person. So going ahead, ma'am, we come to the last question of the show, which is also called viewer's choice question. As we figured out that you are a big fan of Kalam sir and you're very much influenced by his writings. So we would like to know from you that what it takes to be an exceptional leader, especially when it comes to academics, an exceptional leader qualities that you would like to mention here that you have endorsed from Kalam sir also, and you would like to share with others also what qualities you need to have to be a great school leader.
I think being a leader, we need to do something which is different. And when I say different, it simply means people should get motivated over there. So motivating people is very important. Unless and until you don't motivate people by your work, they are not going to do well in their profession. I mean, in their whatever task has been allotted to them, and it is not going to help you also. And as a leader, then you would stand nowhere if you can't motivate people. So I think motivating people is the most important thing, where the people, I mean, where all the employees need to be taken care of. Do one thing, a simple thing every day in the morning is like, what would be the takeaway when I go home? What will be the motivating thing that what is that one thing I'll do, and people will get motivated, and they will somewhere feel that yes, even I should do this, even I should come and I keep on telling my teachers, you I took a seminar just 15 days back and asked them only one simple thing: where do you I mean, see yourself after 2 years, 3 years? And everyone was like, ma'am, being in the same organization, being in the same organization. I said, being in the same organization is totally fine. I like that you want to be working in the same organization, but for yourself, did you mark out there that I want to be a teacher, I want to be a coordinator, I want to be a vice principal, I want to be a principal after 5 years, and so on. So motivating people is very important, and that's the thing which will take them forward, which will grow you also as a leader and grow them also as an employee.
So
Or a
empowering
teamwork.
others, so
Yes,
empowering your subordinates and your juniors to aspire to be a leader and help them to achieve that.
absolutely. Then only the teamwork is going to come out, and we can see the output. Otherwise, it's not going to be work. I mean, it's not going to work out. It's just, then I'm not a good. If in case if I'm just delegating and they are not doing it without, I mean, they are doing it without motivation, then it's, I don't think so that it's a good leader sign. So absolutely, they have to be motivated. There have to be some team, when I say teamwork, they should be happy, they should feel that okay, now this has to be done, it has to be done, not because the pressure that the leader has told us, or uh, you know it should be willingly, it should come out willingly. And I always say to my teachers that it's not I, it's we. When we start working, when the I turns into we are definitely going to do best of what we can do.
All right. So, ma'am, if I sum up here and I put out the qualities of great leader according to you, it would be empower, inspire, lead, teamwork, and be a team player. And what would others would be other three qualities that potential school leaders must possess?
Like here I would say that you need to be the change, what the change you are expecting from the others, right? So I myself need to be that particular change. I need to be like I would end in saying one thing is like, there are n number of things which you do throughout the year, throughout the day, I mean, when it comes to day, month, year, and so on. But one thing which I learned from one of the vice chancellor is, she used to always say one thing, a simple thing: remember one thing, if you can't change something, you have to reach the chair and change it. Otherwise, don't keep on talking about it. So I would say the same thing to the teachers over there, that yes, if you want to be if you want some change, either you follow it, be quiet and follow it, or else reach the chair and do it. So yes, that would be the thing which I would suggest my teachers over there to do.
All right. So we today, ma'am, you have surely inspired a lot of us, and it was a wonderful session with you here. And many young women and young aspirants will surely look up for your guidance. And we wish you best of luck for all your future endeavors. Also, keep inspiring, keep motivating, and keep guiding all our young generation ahead to take the teaching to the next level, where we can look up for the nation, where we have people who have the qualities of humility, the very much needed skill today.
Yes, yes. As I say that I look forward for my students to be global citizens with international outlook, but do not forget the Indian values, that it's a gift for us. For Indians, we have a gift called as Indian values. So that has to be there. No matter what, how much corporate world we enter into, how much corporate school we come into existence, but yes, global citizens with international outlook but Indian values, they are going to matter a lot in the upbringing of the kids over there. Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
So a value education, a quality education with values imbibed, it's something we all look upon. So thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. It was really an honor to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me over here.